Tomorrow, January 18th, 2021, we will celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Today, though, in America, there is division, anger, and bitterness, and the whole world is waiting on something with their eyes on her. For the right, that something is prophecy. For the left, that is a change. Finally, for a third party at the center of both the left and the right of conversations, BLM is waiting to still be heard. At the forefront of American society and history in the making, we have three parties all calling for justice, liberty, and freedom. At the center of this conversation is this, though. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. For the soul of America is in disarray, and contention pulls at the fabric strings of a once great nation. While she is still beautiful in the country that changed the world, she is weeping from the pain and mourning that has taken place, not only from COVID-19, but to the death of George Floyd. She's staggering to breathe, but her dreams have been unfulfilled and in seemingly strange ways have become a nightmare. Her light is dimming as though the oil has run dry, and she gasps, "I can't breathe. I cannot see, and I am weary." The heart of American history is divided much like that of the human heart. From the left chamber to the right chamber, red and blue, black and white. Though it seems as though it is a dark night, the dark night of the soul of America is yet to begin. We stand on the precipice of a great storm, a storm of the union of the land. A storm of warm winds and cool winds will clash, and at the center of this storm is the Bill of Rights. Human rights hung as the framework of a great society for all men. But today, in America, the battle for all mankind is waged between brothers and sisters. Much like in the distant past of the Civil War, we are raging to obtain great victory. However, a great victory will not come at the payment of a civil war. In fact, the great victory stands on the one true creed of brotherly love. To love thy neighbor is the clarion call. For the better part of 4 years, the prophetic voice, the civil voice, and the captive voice have yelled to the skies, "Let my people go." This is not a weird cry for such a time as this. For over 400 years, since 1619, the hearts and souls of 20 men screamed, "Let me go." On the battlefield with George Washington, men turned against a king's rule and shouted, "Let me go." Then a collective voice arose and declared, "We will be independent." But at last, it was not until 1863 that a sitting president finished that declaration off with a proclamation of emancipation. Free them now! But life and time continued on. For 50 years passed from the proclamation of "Free them now" until a lone voice full of power and oil for the stalled engine of a nation came and declared, "I have a dream." That voice urged on through the spirit of prophecy and gave more testimony to the nature of man, government, and religion. He raised the hopes of many and paid a great price for his dream, but in his dream was a warning to Lady Liberty when we all marched on Washington. It would be fatal for the nation to overlook the urgency of the moment. The sweltering summer of the Negro's legitimate discontent will not pass until there is an invigorating autumn of freedom and equality. 1963 is not an end, but a beginning. And those who hoped that the Negro needed to blow off steam and now be content will have a rude awakening if the nation returns to business as usual. There will be neither rest nor tranquility in America until the Negro is granted his citizenship rights. The whirlwinds of revolt will continue to shake the foundations of our nation until the bright day of justice emerges. These words are still resounding in 2021. They say hindsight is 2020. This has become more glaringly clear, not only from the year of 2020, but from prophetic and patriotic voices of red and blue ringing through the years as though a silent hum to a great symphony that is ready to begin. A symphony based in the value of all human life. So in the shadow of a great voice, I say this. Indeed, our very nature, we affirm that something new is taking place on the American political horizon. We have come here from the abandoned mills of the iron and steel industry and the depressing lumber mills of barrenness. We have come from the university and the businesses with closing doors. We have come from many forms of poverty and from conscience-stricken wealth. But we have come. And we have come here because we share a common concern for the moral health of our nation. We have come because our eyes have seen through the superficial glory and glitter of our society and observed the coming of judgment. Like the prophet of old, we have read the handwriting on the wall. We have seen our nation weighed in the balance of history and found wanting. We have come because we see this as a dark hour in the affairs of men. For most of us, this is not a new mood. We are traditionally the idealists. We are the marchers from BLM, MAGA, and equal rights movements who staked our lives on the American dream during the first half of this decade. Many assembled here campaigned for the left, the right, and BLM because we could not stand idly by and watch our nation contaminated by the 20th century policies. We are the hardcore activists who are willing to believe that all mankind can be reconstructed in the constitutional image. We were, and are the DACA dreamers of a dream that the dark yesterdays of man's inhumanity to man would soon be transformed into bright tomorrows of justice. Now, it is hard to escape the disillusionment of betrayal. Our hopes have been blasted and our dreams have been shattered. The promise of a great society was shipwrecked off the banks of financial woes in the dreadful peninsula of war and fear. The poor, black and white, are still perishing on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. What happens to hope deferred? It leads to a bewildering frustration and corroding bitterness, but a dream come true is a tree of life. While I did update the verbiage from our brother for such a time as this, I mean only to amplify his voice across all party lines to bring to the forefront of American society that we all want the same Bill of Rights to be fully paid to every man, woman, and child by God's grace and for the mercy of a nation. Let today be the day that a prophetic dream of mankind brings us into the dawn of justice, bright as the noonday sun, and we will finally sit at the table of brotherhood and break bread together once and for all.